As the episode begins, the people of Two Rivers are bracing themselves for the impending battle against the Trollocs. The villagers are undergoing intense training under the guidance of Maxim, who is helping them prepare for the war. Despite his efforts, Perrin can't shake the feeling that he's leading these people to certain doom. As he forges weapons for them, a heavy weight of responsibility rests on his shoulders, knowing they stand little chance without help. At the same time, the warning bell suddenly sounds. Everyone instinctively rushes to the fence, spears at the ready, but Perrin quickly recognizes the newcomers as members of the Tuatha. Among them are Aram and Isla, whom Perrin last saw back in Season 1 during his time with their traveling caravan. The Tuatha look worse for wear, and that's because their wagons had run into a group of Trollocs. Their worried expressions tell Perrin all he needs to know: they'll come for us tonight. Tensions are high between Aram and Isla as everyone gathers to share a meal. With everything that's happened since the events in Rui Dian, it's striking that the Tuatha's firm commitment to the Way of the Leaf still causes inner conflict. Aram is clearly struggling with the principles of non-violence, especially now that he finds himself surrounded by the looming reality of war. Meanwhile, Alanna is busy training Bode and Eldrin Cauthon to access their strength through the One Power, though the only thing the girls seem interested in learning is how to hurl fireballs. Realistically, given how little time they have, the most they'll manage is to link with Alanna and enhance her strength, much like what was done in Faldara. On the other hand, Loial watches as the two Il women with him make suggestive gestures about Aram. But as you can imagine, the Il would never tarnish themselves by sleeping with the Tuatha. But this interaction gives Loial an idea. See, the Il women are in Two Rivers because they owe Loial their tow, so Loial makes a plan to send them back because he doesn't want them to fight a battle that isn't theirs. When Alanna notices the new wisdom from the Two Rivers observing her, she picks up on something unexpected. The woman also has the gift of channeling. Clearly, the old blood of Manetheren runs deep in these mountains, and Alanna isn't shy about proudly pointing that out to her warder Maxim. Meanwhile, Fail tells some villagers that the Trollocs are afraid of wolves, so they can feel safe and protected by Perrin. A little later, they get a visit from Dane Bornhold. Perrin explains the gravity of the situation to Dane, emphasizing that the Whitecloaks would ultimately benefit if the Trolloc horde manages to overrun the village first. His logic is that if the Trollocs eliminate the villagers, they will become stronger, whereas a smaller force could be easily repelled by the Whitecloaks now. Perrin even offers to surrender himself once the battle is over as a show of faith and desperation to get Dane on board. However, Dane ultimately rejects the offer, expressing his loss of faith in Perrin's promises. With the Whitecloaks refusing to help, Perrin becomes even more terrified, believing their defeat is now almost inevitable. On the other hand, Loial asks the two women to play a game of Maiden's Kiss with him. Loial doesn't let the two women kiss him until they've nearly put their blades through his throat. They decide to stop because they don't want to kill the man, pretending that the reason was that they didn't ask for permission to play the game. But now that Loial risked his life to save the both of them, they make a new plan. While there are two women, only one of them owed Loial before, so now the other one owes him too, meaning he knows for sure that they're not going anywhere. Although Alanna and Maxim have consistently been at odds with each other since the death of Alanna's other warder and their lover, Ivan, as Alanna points out, she could turn off their bond until the battle starts, giving Maxim a few more hours of peace without her in his head. But if this is going to be their last night alive, Maxim admits he doesn't want to miss a single minute of her. Of course, he also can't resist torturing her with one of her favorite things, a date, by eating it directly in front of her and asking if she can feel it through their bond, to which Alanna simply shoves him up against a wall and decides to earn a taste herself by kissing him. It's a lovely and surprisingly poignant scene, as Aes Sedai and Warder physically reconnect on an intimate level and figure out how they can fit together as a twosome. Meanwhile, Perrin and Fail's conversation takes a more emotional turn after she finds him at the blacksmith's forge. Initially, he questions why she's sticking around when a fight like this isn't something she needs to put herself on the line for. When Fail tries to brush off Perrin's concern about her by saying she simply believes in lost causes, Perrin grabs her hand and admits he doesn't want to watch her die before urging her to leave while she still can. Fail, to her credit, doesn't believe that she'll suffer the same fate as Lila, a name that still makes Perrin's hackles rise, especially when Fail goes as far as to graphically describe the circumstances of his late wife's death. The former hunter of the Horn has a point, though. Perrin is so worried about something happening to Fail that he's not respecting her choice to stay and fight. In an attempt to ease the tension and perhaps lighten the mood, the maidens suggest playing a game of Kiss of the Maiden. But when it becomes clear that Loial isn't interested in romance or intimacy, he tries to save face by suggesting they just play the game instead. Afterward, he tells them they've fulfilled their obligation and are free to leave the village. Perrin makes a plan on how to keep the Trollocs away with a few people who can help him in this battle. As far as keeping the Trollocs out is concerned, the overall plan doesn't need to change, especially since they refuse to cross water and only have access to a small mountain path as a result. If forced to retreat, Perrin says, they'll be able to hold the Trollocs at the Two Rivers Gate and then again in the square, and then at the Winespring Inn as a last resort. The Tuatha are tasked with leading the village's children through a secret tunnel into the mountains, in case the battle seems lost. Loial volunteers to permanently close the waygate outside of the Two Rivers, otherwise the Trollocs will be able to call in reinforcements. Perrin doesn't love the idea, but relents when Bain and Shiard agree to accompany the Ogier on his mission. As the people of the Two Rivers assemble with longbows, swords and spears at the mountain pass, Perrin rallies them with a song, the same one that the Emond's Field 5 once sang while leaving their home for the first time. The song, full of memories of their past and hopes for their future, serves as a reminder of their unity and the strength they've found in one another. It's a moment of solidarity as they prepare to face the impending threat, drawing strength from the bonds they've forged and the people they've become. Before the song even finishes, the roars of the Trollocs and the Dark Friends accompanying them break through, and the battle is officially on. Maxim quickly directs the archers, and their arrows create a momentary pause in the enemy's advance. The force of their attack is enough to give the villagers a brief sense of hope, but the Trollocs and Dark Friends soon begin shooting arrows of their own, forcing the archers to react quickly. From a mountaintop, Alanna links with the Cauthon girls and the Two Rivers Wisdom, and instead of unleashing fireballs or lightning like Moiraine did in Season 1, she summons hail sharp daggers of ice plunging from the sky, cutting down Trollocs and Dark Friends alike. The sight of the storm descending from the sky fills the battlefield with a brief sense of awe as the tide of the battle seems to shift. However, the relief is short-lived. The enemy seems to retreat, but Perrin isn't convinced that they're safe. He and Fail quickly head back to the village, while Maxime stays behind, coordinating the defense. In the chaos, Alanna is struck by a spear in the chest. Maxime, devastated by her injury, is left reeling as the battle escalates. The archers, without Alanna's powerful support, struggle to hold back the advancing Trollocs. Meanwhile, Bode and Eldrin attempt to heal Alanna, but their powers aren't enough to save her. Maxime is beside himself, torn between his need to help Alanna and the increasing threat of the Trollocs overrunning the village. The situation grows increasingly desperate, and the people of the Two Rivers must find a way to rally and fight back, even as their leaders struggle to stay in control of the situation. The arrival of the Whitecloaks initially seems like a positive turn of events, with Dane seemingly coming through on his promise. However, that hope quickly dissipates when Perrin spots Padan Fain among their ranks. The Dark Friend has infiltrated the Children of the Light, and now he and his cohorts have entered the heart of the Two Rivers main square. With Fain's presence, the situation becomes even more dire, and Perrin and Dane are forced to join forces in a battle neither of them could have predicted. The stakes have never been higher, and the Two Rivers is now under siege from within its own walls. As the battle rages on, everyone, including the women's circle, is pushed to the brink. Despite their best efforts, the longer the fight continues, the more lives are lost. Perrin, weary and questioning his ability to protect his home, wonders if all hope is truly lost. It's Fail who cuts through his doubts, offering him the words he desperately needs to hear. "What would you give for the two rivers?" "Everything," Perrin responds without hesitation. "Then show them," Fail urges, her words sparking a fire within him. With a newfound resolve, Perrin picks up his blacksmith's hammer and his axe, dual-wielding the weapons as he throws himself into the fray. The weight of his responsibilities no longer holds him back, and he fights with a ferocity he had long denied himself, determined to protect his people no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Loial, Bain, and Chiad make their way toward the Waygate, their mission clear: to ensure it's permanently closed and prevent the Trollocs from bringing in reinforcement. As they advance, they dispatch the Dark Friends guarding the gate without hesitation. But Loial's realization that the Waygate can only be permanently closed from the inside adds a heavy layer of gravity to the moment. He has already bid farewell to Perrin, knowing the consequences of what must be done. With Bain and Chiad standing guard, Loial prepares for the final act of sacrifice. In the midst of the chaos, Aram's transformation becomes evident. Once a staunch believer in the way of the Leaf, Aram's exposure to the horrors of war and the threats against his people have changed him. In a desperate act of protection, Aram kills a Trolloc to keep the baby in his arms safe, showing how much he's willing to fight and kill to protect those he loves. His shift away from passivity is a direct reflection of the personal and emotional toll the war has taken on him. The Cauthon sisters also face their own moment of reckoning. After failing to save Alana earlier, the sisters tap into their strength, powered by the grief and rage over their mother's death. Their emotions, raw and unchecked, fuel their power, and they use it to confront Eamon Valda. The anger that has built up inside them comes to a head, and they unleash their fury on him. The man who caused so much pain and suffering is no match for their strength, and the sisters burn him alive, exacting a brutal and final vengeance for their mother. The death of Valda, while a moment of justice for the Cauthon sisters, also serves as a stark reminder of how war and tragedy can warp the paths of even the most peaceful people. At first, Loial attempts to destroy the Waygate using his hammer, but each strike is met with resistance, the gate proving stronger than he anticipated. With more Trollocs closing in, Loial makes a fateful decision instead of the Waygate itself. He targets the bridge. His hammer swings with power, and with each blow, the bridge begins to crumble. The structure gives way beneath him, and Loial's heroic sacrifice is complete. As the bridge collapses, Loial meets his fate with a defiant roar, knowing that he has done what needed to be done to save the two rivers. His bravery becomes a turning point in the battle, a sacrifice that ensures the village's survival and exemplifies the true meaning of selflessness and heroism. At the end of The Wheel of Time, Episode 7, Perrin catches hold of Padan Fain and fears he can't save two rivers. But, being the bigger man, Perrin makes a deal with Padan and sets him free in exchange for the lives of the people of two rivers. Perrin asks Padan what they've done for him to have so much hatred against them. Padan tells them that the Dark One wants two rivers to be destroyed to teach Rand a lesson. However, Padan agrees to the deal when he realizes Perrin will definitely kill him and immediately gets his men to retreat, leaving two rivers safe again in Perrin's hand. In the end, Perrin is the leader two rivers always needed. Alana tells the Cauthon girls that she's not taking them to the tower and that the pattern has different plans for them instead. Aram gets to stay back as a blacksmith, since he went against the way of his people. Perrin goes through the book Loial left behind for him, calling Perrin the leader of two rivers. Dain reminds Perrin of his promise to surrender to the Whitecloaks. Even though the villagers now stand behind him more than ever and are willing to fight on, Perrin honors his word and gives himself up to bring the bloodshed to a close. With only the final episode left in The Wheel of Time Season 3, I can't imagine the gang will get back together. Episode 8 will likely focus on Rand and Moiraine's side of things, seeing as he is the ultimate main character of the show. I'm sure Fail will find a way to save Perrin. I suppose there'll be another battle on the Leandrin side of things. Final thoughts. Episode 7 of The Wheel of Time Season 3 delivers a powerful blend of emotional weight, tactical intensity, and deeply personal moments that showcase just how far these characters have come since their journeys began. At the heart of the story is Perrin, whose arc throughout the episode reveals the burden of leadership and the inner conflict that comes with trying to protect a village unprepared for the horrors of war. Despite his doubts and fears, Perrin grows into the role of a leader not because he seeks it, but because others believe in him and stand by him. The choices he faces, from begging the Whitecloaks for help to ultimately surrendering himself for the greater good, mark a profound moment of character evolution. Alana's injury and recovery, along with the awakening powers of Mat's sisters, remind us of the raw and untapped potential lying dormant within ordinary people who are pushed to the edge. The sacrifices made by Loial and the maidens, the haunting strategy to close the waygate, and the unexpected return of Padan Fain all contribute to a sense of impending dread, even as the villagers snatch a fragile victory. With themes of fate, destiny, and inner strength rippling through every scene, this episode stands as one of the most pivotal in the series so far. It challenges each character to confront their fears, make impossible choices, and fight not just for survival, but for who they are becoming in the face of the Dark One's growing influence. As we move toward the season finale, the stakes are higher than ever, and the path forward feels both hopeful and ominously uncertain.